All right, we're going to give this section here, financing a purchase, a go. So why do people need to borrow money to buy a car? Now, often they're just not going to have the upfront cash. So they have to enter into this agreement, which will then ultimately cost them more money. What you need for this, if you read through the notes, are the simple interest formula, which is interest equals PRN. Now, finance from a dealer is always going to have hidden costs. Everyone's in to make money. So what you then have to do is you're going to have to pay a deposit up front. Deposit. I'll get better at my writing, promise. And then make you a load of monthly repayments. Now, when you work that out, which we'll hopefully do shortly, you'll find then if you had the money up front, you'll have paid a lot less money than what you would if you'd bought it on finance. So we need to then weigh up whether that is worth it or not. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're looking at a four-wheel drive. It's a sale for 45,000. Finance is available at £5,000 deposit and monthly repayments of 1,470 for 5 years. So what's the total cost of the repayments? Well, you're going to pay 1,470 every month for 5 years. Now that then is going to work out at 88,200. That is just the repayment. So you can see what kind of cost you're paying already, because the thing's only worth 45. Just for the repayments you're paying over 88. And then you've also got to include your £5,000. So when you're calculating the total cost, you're actually looking at the 88,200 plus the initial deposit. And that means you end up paying 93,200 for a car that was initially 45,000. So is it worth it? What was the interest paid in the repayments? Well, if you look at what I've gave you over here, the interest paid is going to be the total cost minus the sale price. Well, the total you've paid in this instance is 93,200, and you want to take away what the thing was actually worth to begin with. And that will give you the interest that you have paid over that time. That's that. All right, next one. April borrows 12,000 to buy a car, 8.5% flat rate interest. So again, it's a formula you will have to know, but the interest then is I equals PRN. Then we're going to punch that in. So the principal for the PRN is going to be 12,000. Then it's going to be times by the rate, and I'll write it as a decimal. So you can write that over 100, or you can write it as 0.085. I would prefer that because when it gets to the more complicated compound interest stuff, that's going to make it a bit easier for you. And that happens over 3 years. So once we figured that out, that's going to be 3,060. Now, here's the bit that's going to catch most people, but not us. We're going to read it carefully, and we would have highlighted the total amount that April was to repay on this loan. Now, if you borrow 12,000, you're obviously not going to just pay back 3,060. You have to pay back the loan as well. So the total is then going to be the original plus the interest. So it's going to be, what's that, 15,060. All right, beautiful. Right, on to the next one. Now, this is the one we might have a bit more trouble with. Some loans are calculated using a reducing balance. Now, we can use this table. This is what they would actually use. Now, they're more likely to use an online calculator, but the table is often what they would do if you go into a bank. Now, this is how the table works. It's a monthly repayment of $1,000. So that means we're looking for batches of 1,000. So the question is saying Stephen borrows 12,000 to purchase a second-hand car. The reducible balance loan is repaid in monthly installments over 4 years at 9%. So use the table. Right, so we're looking for 4 years and we're looking at 9%. So there's your 9%. There's your 4 years. You just go to see where it crosses, and it is going to be 24.89. It's going to be the monthly repayment. Now, the monthly repayment of $24.89 is for $1,000. So every $1,000 you have to pay $24.89. Well, that means then $24.89 multiplied by my 12,000 divided by the number of thousands I can get out of that account. And that gives me an actual monthly repayment of $298.68. So that is 12 lots of $24.89. Okay, good. So then now you've got to calculate the total repaid on the loan. Well, if that's your monthly, 2,898.68, that's monthly for 4 years. So we multiply that by 4, and that will give you 14,336.64. So that's how much you're going to end up paying. So 14,000, even though you only borrowed the 12. So it's costing you a bit more. Right, now we're going to include that all in one step. So this, I believe, is going to be the future of the standard course, where they're going to expect you to do all that work just within one question. Well, let's look at it. You're now doing 10% over 4 years. So 10%, 4 years, that takes you to 2536. So 2536 is going to be every month for 4 years. And that is going to give you, oh, hang on, so that's 12 times a 12, because remember it's 12 times. So I'm going to times that by another 12 as well. So that's 2536 is your monthly repayment on $1,000. Times 12 is the number of thousands that are in what you're borrowing, times by the number of years, and that's per month. So that then works out to be 14,607.36. Now here's the important bit. How much more? So we have to look at what we are going to spend on this one and subtract it from that one. So it ends up being just this number minus this number, which will give you 270.72. So you end up paying $272 more using a 10% over 4 years as opposed to that 9%. All right. Okay, so this one here, question number 4. This is a bit of a combination, so we can see the marks. It's important. First one probably just to warm you up. And then this big 4 marker, these are the ones that we're probably going to be looking at in the future. So we want to get used to doing them. So I've put this one in. And this, as you can see, is an HSC past paper. So Alex is buying a used car, sale price of $13,380. In addition to the sale price, there's a following cost. So you've got to figure out the stamp duty. So the stamp duty of the car is calculated at $3 for every 100. Now this is a huge mistake. This one here is one of the most common mistakes I'll see in a paper, because this part thereof means you just need to tick over by $1 and you need to pay the full $3 for that 100. So let's look at it. So we have 3,380 and we divide that by 100. Now that's going to give me 133.8. Now because with that 0.8 is part thereof the next $100, I then need to assume that it is 134 lots of $3 because I've spilled over. It could be 133.00001. I still need to pay the $100 because I've ticked over into that 134th lots of $100. So that's 134 times 3, and it's 402. That one is worth revisiting as many times as you can because that appears a lot. It can be used in mobile phones, it can be in parking, when you go into the garage to park your car. These are common, so make sure you recognize and remember that part thereof. All right, last one. Alex borrows a total amount for the car, including stamp duty and transfer of registration. The interest in the loan is 7.5. The loan is to be paid in equal monthly installments over 3 years. So you've now got to figure out those monthly installments. Well, let's look at what you borrowed. So total borrowed. Sorry, I'll improve my writing. So you've borrowed 13380. So that's from the first part up here. You also need to pay $30, which is for the transfer of registration, and the stamp duty, which you've just calculated to be 402. So the amount you borrowed is 13812. We then start looking at the interest. Well, how much have you borrowed? Well, you borrowed 13812. It's at 7.5%, and that is going to be over 3 years. So it's going to be 3,107.70 is how much interest you need to pay. So your total is going to be the 13812 plus the interest, which is 3,107.70, and that equals 16,919.70. Right. That's how much you will owe in total. Now it's wanting monthly repayments. Well, if you're paying it every month for 3 years, well, let's look at what you need to do. You've got how much you need to pay in total divided by a monthly repayment of 3 years. And that's going to give you what you need to pay per month. Right. That'll probably do us today. Hopefully that's not too boring. Suggestions, feedback, how can I improve it? Remember, it's math. Can't be all singing and dancing. Hope this helps. Good on you fellas. Study up.